Hey YouTube, Untamed here. So today I'm going to talk about the newly teased video and image of that 2024 Toyota Land Cruiser. So for those of you who don't know, the 2021 Land Cruiser was the last one that we've seen in the United States, and I owned that. I had a 21 Land Cruiser Heritage Edition, and it was the bee's knees. I love Land Cruisers. I've had a few of them at this point. Well, Exhibit A right here, my 80s series. They are remarkable vehicles, and I love the fact that Toyota builds them to last, right? They are overbuilt, over-engineered, and it is incredible. So I'm excited that the Land Cruiser nameplate is coming back to the United States. I'm super stoked about that. Unfortunately, I'm not yet cool enough to get an invite from Toyota to go to their August 1st unveiling event, but we'll keep trying, guys. We're gonna keep trying, and maybe someday. Maybe not this year, not next year, but we'll get there someday. So I appreciate you guys continuing to support the channel, even though we're pretty small. But let's talk about it. So I'll throw up the photo here. I love the fact that it has kind of that boxed off, the boxy headlights. I love that. I think that looks so cool, especially with the 60 series Land Cruiser in the background, really showing how we're paying homage to that. We're paying tribute to that older Land Cruiser. It just looks awesome. So we have the boxy headlights that match that 60 series, and then we have that classic grille with the classic Toyota Heritage script across the front that we can see. So love that. Right out of the gate, the Land Cruiser is coming out swinging, looking pretty incredible with a lot of heritage cues to it. So very excited. So let me show you here on the 4Runner. On the TRD Pro, we always had that heritage grille with that classic heritage Toyota script up front. So we've always had that, and we saw that also on the FJ Cruiser. So Maymay's gonna mow the lawn. Maymay, what you doing? She kind of blends into the seat. So love that we saw that on the FJ Cruiser as well. I just recently had the 2014 FJ Cruiser Trail Teams Ultimate Edition, where it had the classic white grille shroud with the classic the heritage script in it. So really cool, and that was paying homage to the original OG FJ40 of the past. So I love that, even with the heritage blue color. Of that short video that Toyota released of the back end, kind of showing, panning to the back end of it, the rear quarter panel, or really the tail light, it shows it in that kind of classic heritage or cavalry blue, right? That's kind of what I'm thinking anyway. It kind of looks a little bit more grayish though, so kind of a grayish blue to it, but nonetheless, it looks pretty incredible. I love the fact that it's kind of that flat paint, similar to what we find in the Army Green, Lunar Rock, Voodoo Blue, that flat paint color, which I really think is cool. So when it comes to the back end, we're looking pretty basic, and I'm loving all this. I'm loving the fact that there isn't such like flamboyant design cues throughout it, and I think that's going to be an indicator. Hopefully, it's an indicator of how much it's going to cost. We know that the Lexus GX550 is on the horizon as well, and we know that typically, historically speaking, the Lexus counterpart is a little bit more expensive. So I'm excited to see that the Land Cruiser is going to be hopefully catered to, the modern man, the modern working man, if you will. So it's not going to be that high-end, top dollar, highest trim level that we've gotten in the past, right? So the Land Cruiser that we had before, the 200 series, the Heritage Edition, even the quote-unquote the base model 200 series that we got in the United States was pretty expensive. We're talking $89,000 and some change for the Heritage Edition in 2020, and then $86,000 and some change for the quote-unquote base model in 2020. Then it went up to $91,000 and some change for the third row, blah, 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 blah. What I'm getting at, it's always been too expensive for most people, right? It's just out of reach, especially when you compare it to the other vehicles that are for sale in that price range, right? You got Porsche, you can get a Porsche Cayenne, right? You can get the Lexus counterparts. There's just so many other seemingly nicer vehicles to most people, and Americans, well, I'm guilty right here, are guilty of the superficial face value, the flashiness sometimes. We got this because it's huge, for the record. I would make that clear, the largest SUV segment, but most Americans kind of fall victim to that stuff and that nameplate, right? The whole flashy luxury, the massaging seats, all that stuff, even though it does not offer you that reliability and peace of mind that you would find in a Land Cruiser. Land Cruisers are built to last 25 plus years. That is maybe built to last 10 if you're lucky on a good day, right? So all that to say, I'm hopeful that the price tag of that Land Cruiser, since it is based on that Prado, the 250 series, if you will, it will be a little bit more within reach. So I'm excited to see that. Let me know how much you think it's going to cost in the comments below. I do have a confession. I got a confession, guys. I called a bunch of dealerships about a week ago. Maybe about, isn't that a song? About a week, anyways. About a week ago, I called a bunch of Lexus dealerships, and it got my name on a couple lists for the GX550 Overtrail. You know, to be fair, I mean, it is me being wishful thinking. I'm nowhere near the top on the list. I think I'm like within like the 30s at both of the dealerships I called. So it's very wishful, but I figured why not get my name on it just in case one does come up and a bunch of people fall through on it. They change their minds. I could potentially get that GX550. So I think it'd be really, really cool. I'm excited for the Lexus in particular just because it is different, right? I mean, Lexus coming out with a off-road oriented version right out of the gate, built for off-roading, is pretty incredible. So you let me know if I should lean that direction and continue to aim at that Lexus version of, or should I just kind of put all my eggs in the Land Cruiser basket and try to get that new Land Cruiser instead. Obviously, having owned a bunch of Land Cruisers in the past, as a it's always going to be a piece of me. I love Toyota Land Cruisers, and I always will. But I do want to venture out and try something different, perhaps. So let me know which one you think I should get and why. So final thing I want to throw to you is, where do you think this is going to wind up in the whole big picture, right? Where is that 4Runner going to fit in that picture? So we're expecting a 6th generation 4Runner to hit the dealership lots, hopefully in 2025. All right, so we were expecting one more year of the 5th generation 4Runner here with the 4-liter V6, 5-speed automatic transmission, body on frame, blah, 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 everything we've come to love about the 5th generation for one more year. But then the 6th generation is going to be a full new redesign, which is going to look incredible, I'm sure. But it is going to make the shift to a smaller displacement engine likely, right? It's going to be probably a 4-cylinder twin-turbo variant is what we can expect, because that's kind of what we're seeing as a theme across the board. So where is that going to fit? You know, and even when it comes to price tag, you know, this right now, this TRD Pro is $58,000 MSRP, 57 MSRP. And that's kind of starting to get pretty high. So when that Land Cruiser comes out, we can expect it, especially if it shares the same exact power plant as the GX550, which was the 3.4-liter twin-turbo V6 and a 10-speed automatic transmission. We can expect that, you know, it's likely going to be more than this. It's going to be 10,000 more than the best trim 4Runner is what I'm thinking, right? This is all speculation, of course. So, I mean, we're already having a starting point, pretending it is 10 grand more, in the high 60s. That still is much more bearable than $89,000 of the past of the 200 series in the US. So already a win, already a victory, but you see what I'm getting at? Like, we already have this. Where is that Land Cruiser going to fit? And where is it going to fit with the GX550? We have the LX600 too. Like, now we're starting a Sequoia TRD Pro, the Sequoia in general. We're getting a lot of options now from Toyota, which is wonderful. You won't hear me complain about it, but it just kind of makes me wonder, survival of the fittest. Which one's gonna rise to the top? I'm thinking likely Land Cruiser because of the nameplate. But the 4Runner has historically had amazing sales figures in the United States. So where is this gonna fit moving forward? Is it gonna continue to be super successful, even with just that, you know, $5,000 to $10,000 price difference, $10,000 price difference between this and the Land Cruiser? The production rates, I think, are going to be a big piece of it too. I don't think we're going to get a whole lot of Land Cruisers just hitting the lots starting in 2024. I think they're going to kind of ease into it. You know, I imagine it should absolutely continue to be built in Japan. That's a staple for the Land Cruiser and 4Runner, honestly. They might shift that to the United States, perhaps, if it means continuing to build higher numbers and production numbers of the Land Cruiser, the Prado there. So I've geeked out plenty. Let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know what you think of the design cues of that new Land Cruiser we're seeing. Unfortunately, like I said, I'm unable to go out there to the August 1st unveiling event. I would have loved to have shared that with you guys, especially having owned so many Land Cruisers in general. But I'm very excited to see it in the flesh, nonetheless. So let me know what your thoughts are. Appreciate you watching, as always. Till next time.